guys, it's Catherine, and this Fangirl Freakouts is all about the Killing Joke. Not just the regular Killing Joke that I have here before me, but also about the Killing Joke, the animated version that came out on DVD and Blu-ray on Tuesday of this week and was recently in theaters as like a super limited release. So I had never read the Killing Joke. I had heard about it, but I hadn't read it, and I hadn't specifically because of what happens to Barbara Gordon. I didn't know if I wanted to see it, even though I knew she became Oracle, but I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that in my brain. I don't know why, I just didn't. I had recently, like a couple months ago, I heard they were doing the animated one that was releasing, so I picked up The Killing Joke at my comic book store, and it's a super fast read, just FYI. The hardback copy makes it look a lot thicker, but it's really like this big. It's not very big. The animated movie is 77 minutes long, and it's not just the Killing Joke. So the start of the animated version is actually sorry, something fell over in the corner and I thought there was like a mouse in my room. I'm a little paranoid, it happens. Okay, so the beginning of the Killing Joke, the animated movie, is actually a focus on Batgirl, which makes sense because Barbara Gordon is a key character in the plot of the Killing Joke. So the setup shows Batgirl in action dealing with a criminal who becomes obsessed with her. He's a sleazeball. He is. He also sort of has a similar facial structure to the Joker, not sort of the one in the later section of the Killing Joke movie, but kind of to the like animated series Joker a little, like the face. It's his chin, I think. I'm just like pointing at my chin. So she has this like crazy wealth obsessed criminal who is like, he wants her to go on a scavenger hunt and like almost gets her caught by some thugs that are connected to his uncle. And then Batman's like, you need to get off. Like, Batman refuses to let her work on this case anymore. He says, you're off of it, you're done. But she doesn't want to listen to Batman because literally this guy is like taunting her. So I understand what she's like. I understand if someone was focused on me, I would want to deal with it. Batman's trying to protect her. Some very interesting stuff happens in this like mini intro thing, which Batgirl / Barbara Gordon herself informs you is probably not how you thought this story was going to start, which is true because I read the book before I watched the animated one and I was like, what is happening? Why are we here? So she and Batman are having this like very tense relationship, and Barbara has a friend who's like asking about her love life and how she's doing, and she's like, I'm sort of in a relationship with a guy from yoga. Yeah, yoga. Totally not yoga. But he's like, you slept with him, da-da-da. And she's like, no, I haven't slept with him. But then some stuff happens with her and Batman that I feel like there are versions of Batman and Batgirl where it's hinted that they were in a relationship together. I am not an expert. Please do not yell at me. I haven't read every single comic about Batman ever. I have not watched every animated movie from the DC universe ever. I watched Batman the animated series and was obsessed with it as a kid. I still am. So like that's the Batman that I'm most familiar with. There's also Batman Beyond, which was an offshoot of Batman the animated series, and Barbara Gordon in that one like seems, I always felt like she and Batman dated. So, or at least like got very close before Batman Beyond occurred. Then in this one, she and Batman get into a full fight with each other, and then costumes come off. Pa-pow. Then she and Batman are on like bad terms. She winds up coming to help him, and then this intro storyline ends with the guy she was dealing with getting arrested, but he's still obsessed with her, which I don't know if other animated movies are going to exist with like him and her, but we'll see. Then we move into the Killing Joke, and it starts a little differently than the comic. In the comic, I'm gonna open it and show you some of the art actually. This is like a fancy edition. I didn't realize I was buying like a super fancy one. I just bought the one my comic book store had. But the comic itself just opens with Batman going to Arkham. Ta-da! Comic. In the animated movie, Bullock has found like some people like trapped in a building that have been dead for 3 years, and they're all like, so they're like, it's the Joker. It's obviously the Joker. And so then the plot of The Killing Joke actually starts. There are some additions. It's an interesting story, so I don't want to ruin a lot of it for you by telling you everything that happens in the animated version. I will say that the animated portion following the like Batgirl lead up is pretty close. But there's the intro portion where Batman is at Arkham because he wants to talk to the Joker, and it's basically to have a conversation with him about how they're both on this like path where one is going to kill the other, and he doesn't really want that to happen. Like, he'd rather them come to some other sort of understanding. And then he learns that the person in the cell is not actually the Joker. The Joker in both versions, has escaped and purchases a dilapidated carnival and is going to put on a show. So the show is going to involve Commissioner Gordon. In this version, in like the original written version, Batgirl's part is very small. Barbara Gordon is never actually in her Batgirl costume. She is only ever Barbara Gordon. Batman finds out the Joker has gotten out because he was at Arkham and is trying to figure out where he is. Before he can find him, the Joker goes to Commissioner Gordon. I don't know if Barbara is living with him or if she has like an apartment. In this, there's just one place. I know for a fact there are 2 places in the animated version. At least I think so. I could be losing my mind. This is the Joker we're talking about. Maybe I'm just out of it. But Barbara and her father are together. It's like father-daughter night. That's what they call it in the animated movie. In this one, they're just hanging out. And there's a knock at the door. Barbara answers the door, and the Joker is there. And he has a gun. And the gun goes off, and bang. So Barbara is attacked by the Joker, but he's not attacking her because she's Batgirl. He is attacking her because she's Commissioner Gordon's daughter. The reason he's attacking her is because he wants to prove that one bad day is what is the difference between people like him and regular people. So his plan altogether is to have this awful thing happen to Commissioner Gordon, and then it will drive Commissioner Gordon crazy. Normal people would not be kidnapped by homicidal men who look like clowns and put through crazy rides where they're shown photos of their daughter in states of undress. But, you know, bad things happen is the plan of the Joker's thing. The comic is much faster. Batman receives a ticket to go to this carnival where he learns that Commissioner Gordon is, because Barbara tells him sort of what happened, a little tiny bit. And then huge fight goes down, all this stuff happens. I'm not going to tell you what happens to Commissioner Gordon, and I am going to say that this is the origin story for Barbara Gordon as Oracle. So if you know what Barbara does as Oracle, you'll understand what happens to her. If you haven't read The Killing Joke, you should. It's really well written, even though the story is very, like, intense. Like, in this, the shooting of Barbara comes out of nowhere. It's just there. It just happens. And I wasn't expecting it at all when I was reading it, even though I knew it was happening. It just happens. In the animated one, because there's this huge focus on Batgirl, and then she's shot, it seems like more of a hint. In this, you have no idea. She's never Batgirl. Barbara Gordon is just there, like, having an evening with her father, and horrible things happen to her. So it's a little bit different. The dynamic between Batman and the Joker is, the Joker is like, go ahead, like, I proved my point. Batman's like doing, the two of them have a very interesting dynamic just throughout. And at the end, the Joker actually tells a joke that makes Batman laugh, which is interesting. Batman very rarely laughs, if you know anything about Batman. In the animated one, the ending of it is more intense even than the comic. And So that was cool. I did like the ending of the animated one just because of what happened with Batman and the Joker. Then we get a credit scene with Barbara, so you get to see what happened to Barbara. In this, you don't know what happened to Barbara after. She's just at a hospital and then never seen again in the rest of the comic. So I liked both versions. The animated one did seem long. There were filler portions added in for more like fight scenes, and to add, there were a couple jokes added in, or like humorous things put in with additional scenes. And because this is an animated version, it was more condensed down so it would fit within issues. Although I think I totally read this. There's a description of this comic, and it was totally I'm flipping because I'm doing that right now. Ta-da! Reading the thing. Yep, late 80s, Killing Joke, don't exist, another, yeah. No, it was printed as just the 46-page novel. So, it's just slightly more condensed than the animated version, which is built up a little bit. It also looks very similar to Batman the Animated Series, except for the things, Catherine. Except for the background, where like cityscapes are done on like computer, so they're a little bit different. There's a very intense merry-go-round that appears. The other very cool thing, because I love Batman the Animated Series, and the animation reminded me of that, it was great that Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy were back as Batman and the Joker. I love both of them as those characters. In my mind, they're just always those characters, because that's how I hear them whenever I'm reading like a Batman or Joker connected comic. So yes, when I read like Harley Quinn comics and Joker pops up, I hear it in Mark Hamill's voice. Just FYI. It was also great that Tara Strong was in this, because I watch My Little Pony, and so like she started talking and I did not realize that she was in it, and I was like, Barbara Gordon sounds like Twilight Sparkle. And I was like, oh, because she is. I hear it. I got it. So I really liked them. They are darker stories. They are graphic. The animated version is rated R. This one, it just says mature readers. There is nudity, violence, there's a lot of stuff going on. But it is really interesting, and I do really like the addition of the Oracle stuff that shows up at the very end of the animated one. So I liked both of them. I thought they were interesting, and I thought that since Suicide Squad was also coming out this week, that it would be cool to talk about something Batman and Joker related. I'm even wearing my Funko Suicide Squad shirt. I tried to combine all those words into one word, which was not working. But yes, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. You can find me on Twitter at CluffNotes, on my blog, cluffnotes.wordpress.com. I write for the Nerdy Girl Express, thenerdygirlexpress.com. I run their Snapchat, the Nerdy Girl EXP, and I post recipes on the iZombie Support Group site, iZombieSupportGroup.com. Bye, guys.